Hi, minasan. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's video. We have Tanya and Shu as our guests, and in this video, we're going to be asking them about their cross-cultural relationship. We're also going to ask some questions about their life in Japan, especially after having come from and lived in other countries. So I'm really excited to do this interview. I think it will be really interesting. Please enjoy. And so let's get straight into it. Could you tell me a bit about where you're from and the history of your relationship, like where you met and things like that?
I was born and raised in Mexico City, and I came here right after high school to study Japanese, kind of like in my gap year that just extended really long. And you?
Me?
Lived?
I am from Japan. I lived in the UK for a while, for like 6 years, and then I came back after doing a master's degree, and I had a job, then I hated it, I quit, and then now I'm working as a content creator.
Yes, do check his YouTube. You've got lots of followers. I checked you.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well done. Good job.
Then we met on Bumble. Bumble is a dating app, and it's kind of popular outside of Japan. And then we had a couple of dates, and then we just got married last year. So that's basically our story.
That's lovely. Okay. Where did you meet?
Well, our first date was in a Spanish restaurant called Pero in Ginza.
Oh, very nice.
But it was really funny when we met because Ginza station is really, really big. And the exit, he told me like, let's meet at this exit. But we couldn't find the exit, like both of us couldn't find the exit. So I was just walking, and then I saw a guy like him, but he looked really like his profile picture, so I was like, is that him?
Yeah.
Or not?
So you met in Japan?
Yes.
Yeah, we met in Japan.
Okay, lovely. So I'd like to ask about any cross-cultural surprises or differences, or maybe like really nice things, like differences in culture, but you're like, oh, that's like new to me, but really nice.
Right. I have one. In Mexico, in many Latin American countries, I think people like to hug a lot, and people can be very affectionate than Japanese people, or even British people, I'd say. That was a surprise for me, and good surprise.
Okay.
I've never been like kind of like a touchy person, but ever since I met her, we've been hugging more, and it feels really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's like one good surprise. Japan.
Okay.
Good surprise. I like the space they give you. Like in Mexico, we're overbearing, sometimes too much. Like the things that he said, like the skinship is really important in Mexico, but sometimes it's just like too much.
Right.
So in Mexico, I felt like, oh, yeah, like maybe I shouldn't go out today because I feel like really, like I don't know, emotionally like stuck. And in here, it's like if he notices that I'm like upset or something, he usually leaves me alone for a while, and then he's like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's nice.
I really like that.
Okay, that's lovely.
Sometimes I'm just like too emotional that I'm mad at myself, and like after thinking about it, I'm just like, oh, but it's not a big deal, like you should just like put the milk in here.
So you need that space in order to kind of process your emotion yourself,
Yeah.
and he gives that to you.
But for example, in Mexico, like my mom was like immediately, what's wrong?
Oh, right.
Like, but what's wrong? Like, why are you mad? And then I'm like, I'm not mad. But now that you said that I'm mad, I'm kind of getting more mad.
I see. Okay, good. How about some surprises, things that you had to work through? Like maybe at first you were like, why do you do that? But then over time you realize it's just a difference in culture.
I'm not sure if it's a cultural thing, but something that he does quite often. He wakes up really early.
Okay.
So in my family, we stayed super late.
Okay.
Like back in Mexico, in the weekends, I would just sleep in until 12 a.m. and that was like completely normal. My mom used to sleep like, I don't know, until 3 p.m.
Okay.
But he wakes up at 8 a.m. even if it's the weekend.
8 is not that early, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
this is kind of embarrassing.
No.
But like during the weekend, so that was kind of like a not cultural shock, but like shock living with him. That I was like, oh, like, but when I started waking up early, I'm like, oh, I can do more things in the day.
Yeah.
So it was kind of
Yeah. Also, another thing that I thought of is when we have meal, she likes to share like everything. So she usually like orders a bunch of like different plates, and she wants to share every plate with everyone. Whereas I am like order one big plate and just like
For you.
yeah, just for myself.
Yeah.
But I think that's Mexican, because like most Mexicans, if we go to a restaurant, we never order the same thing. So we say like, what's the thing that you want, like that we both want. And for example, the other day I went to breakfast from one of my Mexican friends to Venice, and we wanted the waffles and the pancakes. So we're like, oh, we should share it. But it was like immediate, like, oh, do you want to order this and this, and share it, like split it in half.
I see. Okay.
But in Japan, it's not. It's like your own thing.
Funny, because I actually I feel like British style is that you order your dish and they order their dish, and then if you like are close enough, do you want to try some? Whereas in Japan, I actually did struggle a little bit with the concept of like in the izakaya style, you order like lots of different things and then you share it. So I actually feel that's quite Japanese of you.
Yeah, I think that's quite izakaya specific situation. I would say.
Okay,
Yeah, if you go to izakaya, like they are only small plates. They don't have like a big like a main dishes. Whereas if you go to like I don't know normal restaurant, you order I don't
Like
know,
one big
like a
plate.
main dish and have that just for yourself.
Yes, I see.
So
Okay, that's good.
yeah, I mean, she gets annoyed when I don't share. She's like,
Yeah, I'm like,
Waiting.
I'm just like.
yeah,
Also, one thing, Mexican men usually eat a lot, like a lot. Like people in general eat a lot. And in Mexico, when I would go out with my friends, I would always leave like something for my friends to eat. Like, and that's one thing that men do a lot. Like even there's like in TikTok or Instagram, there's just like videos like I'm just waiting for my girlfriend to say that she's full so I can eat her thing.
I see.
But he doesn't need that. So and that's one thing that I struggle to.
So you leave your little bit and
Yeah.
he doesn't need it.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'm full.
Yeah.
We should just leave it. And I'm like, oh.
My bit.
I eat yours sometimes.
Yeah, you eat it when you're not full. But
Yeah.
when he's full, he's like, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
Wow, that's really interesting. And kind of like talking along those lines, living in Japan, how long have you been here?
I've been here 6 years.
6 years, wow, okay. And is there anything that you found like really different to Mexico in a really beautiful way or maybe in a kind of like strange way, struggling way?
It was really hard for me going from, because Mexico is, the head of the family is the mom.
Okay.
So the women are really important in Mexico City. If your mom said no, it was no. If your dad said yes and your mom said no, it was no. But if your dad said no and your mom said yes, it was yes.
Okay.
So, and also like there's a lot of things that you have to do for the women. So for example, in Japan, men usually men are first than the women. So when they walk, they enter like the room first, like men, and then followed by the women. But in Mexico, it's the other way around.
Okay.
So when I came to here, and for example, going into the elevator, I always wanted to go first. And the men look at me like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. And then I asked my teachers, and they were like, yeah, men usually go first. Like, you have to let them go first. So I was like, oh, okay.
Sorry, go where?
Like, go first, like, walk in first, or like,
Into a restaurant.
yeah, into a restaurant, or like, I don't know, pull in the door for the girl.
We don't open the door for guys.
Yeah. But in Mexico, if you don't do that, it's like, oh.
So would you say that in Mexico it's a ladies first culture?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how about in Japan? What do you both think about that?
Ladies first?
I think
No, I
it's
don't think
men's
so.
first.
Okay.
Men's first? I don't know.
I mean, because you're a man, you don't notice it that often. But coming from a country that is ladies first to a country
Right,
that
right.
is like,
Good point.
Honestly, coming from like a ladies first culture, do you feel that Shu treats you ladies first, or were there some struggle points there?
I mean, He's been working. He's been working on it. Because at first I didn't tell him that it bothered me, but recently I've been telling him like the things that bother me. So I think he's better now. But like when I met him, I was already like 3 years into Japan, so I was like, oh, it's okay. Like I get it.
Yes, yeah. It must be interesting to kind of like adapt. Do you feel that you've changed through your relationship with a Mexican lady?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you speak Japanese?
She does really well.
I do, but it's weird. Like you hear Japanese.
It's not weird. You do it really well.
What language do you speak together?
English.
And recently we've been trying to speak more Japanese together because she wants to practice more. And I've been practicing Spanish, but my Spanish is like so bad.
Okay.
So maybe that's in a year.
Do you find that you've started speaking English together and then that stuck?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Because I knew he studied in the UK, and at that time my Japanese, I was still learning. I wasn't confident in my Japanese because in my past relationship the guy was Chinese, so he spoke Chinese and I spoke Spanish, and the only common language was Japanese. But that was like really hard to like there were like translation like mistakes a lot, and then I didn't care if I made a mistake, like grammatical mistake with a Chinese guy because like he was Chinese, like he's not Japanese. But I felt really self-conscious making grammatical mistakes in Japanese with a Japanese guy because he knows, he like certainly knows if it sounds weird. So I was really self-conscious. I just like started speaking in English and then that's
So about your wedding, could you tell me a bit about getting married in Japan? Were there any culture shocks there, and what did you do?
Everything is a package deal, so
okay.
we cannot. It's very hard to customize or like create your own like ideal wedding.
What was your ideal wedding?
Well, we
weird
wanted to
idea.
have a mix of Mexican culture and Japanese culture. A shock that I really had is like Japanese weddings are 2 hours long.
Yeah, there's like a
2 or 3
schedule.
hours, yeah.
And I remember going to weddings in Mexico. It starts like at 9 a.m., 10 a.m. in the church, and then you go to the like wedding event like place, and it lasts until the last person leaves.
Yeah, it lasts until the end.
Like, it doesn't end. Like it's not like, oh, you have to go by this time.
No.
It's like, oh, if you want to keep like partying, it's okay. Like,
Yes, yeah.
even if it's like at 3 p.m. on the next day. When they told me it was like 2 hours, I was like, what?
Yeah, the party's just getting started then.
Yeah, then you have to pay like millions of yen for just 2 or 3 hours. And I think it's ridiculous. But we don't have many choices, so we kind of ended up booking one of those package deals.
It was hard for me because the lady told me like, oh, you can choose, like you can like adjust it to your like needs. And then when I saw the site like recently, you can choose like between 5 things. And I was like, oh, I can choose, but it's like a set already. So I was looking forward, like I don't know, like planning the flowers that I like the colors and everything.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, oh no, you can only choose from these options. And I'm like,
I see. And like, how about like when you talk about Japanese culture, incorporating that into your wedding? In what ways did you do that?
so we're having a wedding in the shrine, like and then after that we booked a venue that has a view of a Japanese garden and the like traditional Japanese red bridge.
This was the thing that surprised me, is that like, yeah, you can come to our wedding, but you have to pay 30,000 yen.
Oh yeah,
It was a shock. At first I was like, I don't like that. But then when we were having the wedding, I was like, it's a really good idea.
Yeah, right?
That's one thing that I really like about Japanese weddings, because like guests pay for like kind of like their place.
Yeah.
But in Mexico it was like, I'm gonna spend all this money, because Mexican weddings are like you have to invite everyone.
I see.
Like your cousin, your third cousin that you have never met in your life, but she's really
She's
like
a cousin, so.
like she's really looking forward to your wedding, and you're like, I don't even know her. Like.
Yeah.
And Japanese weddings, since they're so expensive, you have to pay the 30,000 yen. not a lot of people want to come. Like, if you don't know someone, you're like, why am I gonna give 30,000 yen to like a random person?
That's so true. Yeah, it kind of like filters out the people who just want a free party.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I really love about Japanese food.
Yeah.
Which is also our primary concern, because in our wedding, lots of our guests are foreigners, people coming from Mexico and some people from Spain, and they maybe don't know this tradition. And if they don't give us the, 30,000,
we have to.
Yeah, that is a difficult one because it's a different culture, and also, like with my family flying over here, spending a lot on hotels and flights and stuff. So there was that feeling of like.
Yeah, we feel bad too.
Yeah. I'm 24 and there's like a couple of friends that I wanted to invite, but they're also 24 and they're like just started working.
Yeah.
So at 30,000 yen, like if you convert it into Mexican pesos, it's quite a substantial.
I'd like to know about your time in the UK, being a fellow Brit, well, being Brit myself. How was your experience going from Japan to the UK, and did you have any shocks?
I actually found it quite similar to Japan. People are relatively similar, like compared to like Mexican people. It didn't have much shock going to the UK. I feel like everything went really smoothly. I guess, well, people do party a lot in the UK, like going to clubs, which is not really what people do in Japan, except for like some young people. So I found it kind of funny, like going to like pre-drink and flat party, and then drink a lot, and then going to clubs and also dance, which is like something I never do.
Okay.
But yeah, it was really fun, and I miss that time.
You miss?
I do.
How about the food in the UK?
It's not as bad as people think.
Yeah, it has such a bad reputation.
Yeah, I mean, things in general in the UK are more expensive than in Japan. But even then, the food is quite alright. Especially, I love the fish and chips.
Okay.
I had it, I don't know, like 2 or 3 days a week.
Wow, it's more than a British person.
I know, so I liked it a lot.
British fish and chips are really good. Like,
Yeah?
Really, really good.
And we've been trying to find a fish and chips place in Tokyo, and I found a few, but it's not like it's good.
How about the hub?
You have it once.
Hub is like this tiny fish.
It's like this plate of fish and chips for like Sanseien.
No.
So
No. The point of fish and chips is it's big and starchy
Exactly.
and covered in vinegar and salt.
Yeah.
Best eaten on the beach.
Another thing that I loved is a full English breakfast.
Okay.
It's so good. I miss that probably the most.
What about baked beans?
she has a lot of baked beans in the house.
Do you?
Yeah, in a cupboard.
That's good to me. So, lastly, possibly slightly nosy, what are your plans for the future? Will you be staying in Japan?
I think for now, yes. I think we are staying.
I mean, I've just started working, and like fortunately, I've been getting a lot of like job offers. Like even though like working as a makeup artist anywhere in the world, it's really hard to get into the industry, and like really hard to get more clients to book you because there's so many.
Yeah.
But I don't know why, even though it's my first year, I'm getting like big campaigns like as an assistant, but like being an assistant to like those kind of makeup artists, like a lot of producers and I don't know, directors, like photographers, they already know me in Japan, so they kind of reach out to me.
Yeah.
And if I move back to Mexico, or if we move like to a different place, it would be hard to get into like
Starts from scratch.
Yeah.
If any people in the makeup industry is watching, she's a great makeup artist, and if you're making film or if you're making commercial, please look at her Instagram. She's done lots of great work.
Lovely.
It'd be great.
The link will be in the description box, so please check your Instagram. And also, please check his YouTube.
Yeah,
Very creative individuals here.
We do want to go back to Mexico more often though. That's the thing, because
especially during summer, because I cannot Japanese summer is not for me.
Okay.
It's really funny because most people think like, oh, you're Mexican, you must be
Yeah.
like, you must love summer, and I'm like, not really.
No.
Summer,
Mexican weather is much better than Japanese summer,
Yeah.
especially. It's not humid, so
Yeah.
you don't feel that hot.
Yeah, it's not humid but not dry. It's just perfect. So it's like all year round. It was like even if it was winter, you can just go with a jacket and you'd be.
Oh, nice. Have you been to Mexico before?
Just
together?
once, yes.
Once.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is so far. Like,
yeah, and it costs a lot of money too. It's
okay, well, someone's admiring you a lot. Good. Okay, well, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh.
Thank you for your
Oh, that's
excitement.
amazing.
Very good. Do you want your monkey? Okay, on that note, thank you very much. And see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Should I press the button?
Yes, please. Oh, thank you. That was lovely. That was great.